So in the plant kingdom, the next group of plants are the Gymnosperms. Here the name Gymnosperms have been derived based on one particular feature, that is gymnos means naked, sperma means seeds, that is naked seed containing plants. Here why they are called as naked seed containing plants means, we know that in angiosperms the seeds are enclosed inside the fruit wall, but here when the fertilization occurs, the seeds are produced but they are not enclosed in the fruit wall. Why they are not enclosed in the fruit wall means, here the ovules which are naked and not covered by ovary wall, that is ovary is absent in the members of gymnosperms. So that is the reason why the fruit wall is not formed in them. So this is a characteristic feature by which the gymnosperms had derived their names. And gymnosperms are the group of phanerogams. Phanerogams means flowering plants, and these are archegoniate group of plants. So archegonates, that is they have the female sex organ that is called as archegonia, and these are tracheophytes. Tracheophytes means they have the vascular tissue, that is xylem and phloem are present, and these are the part of embryophytes, that is in the life cycle the embryo formation will be present. So these are some basic characteristic features which are exhibited by the members of gymnosperms, and here they also show diplohaplontic life cycle, and here also the two generations are present. One is a sporophytic generation, other is called as a gametophytic generation, but here we can see only the sporophyte from outside, whereas the gametophytic generation is highly reduced and embedded inside the sporophyte, represented by few number of cells only. So this is a other special feature related to the gymnosperm group of plants. So if you see the habit and habitat of gymnosperms, here these are mostly present in the evergreen forests, and they exhibit xerophytic type of characteristic features, and some of them are growing as a woody perennials. And in the habit we can see that some of the plants are herbs, some of them are growing as shrubs, and rarely we can see trees. Trees like zamia, shrubs like cycas, others are neetum, herbs like welwitschia. So likewise a lot of diversity can be seen, and welwitschia is exhibiting the xerophytic type of adaptations. And not only this welwitschia, there are many members of gymnosperms which are showing xerophytic adaptations. Okay, and here the plant body is called as a sporophyte, which is diploid and a dominant stage. This is having the root system and the shoot system. If you come to the root system is sometimes it may be in the form of taproot system, and some will have adventitious roots also, but majority of them will have the taproot system. What is a characteristic feature of a root system? As we know that in other members, as like in angiosperms, here the root system is concerned with the fixation of plant into the soil and absorption of water and minerals from the soil. Okay, here with the help of the water and minerals, the sporophyte plant will perform photosynthesis. So that's the reason why it is generally considered to be the independent and photosynthetic stage. Then there are some members which are showing some special features or typical or some particular features here, like in cycas we can see the presence of coralloid roots or corallorhiza. Here morphologically the roots appears to be like a coral like structures, that's why these are called as corallorhiza. And here some of the branches of the roots which grow in positive phototrophic manner, but they does not come above the surface of the soil. So this type of growth is called as apogeotrophic growth. And these branches which are growing in a positive phototrophic manner, they appears to be like a, and one more thing, they show some dichotomous type of branching like this. So if this is a the tip of this root is divided into two branches like this, everywhere this type of branching structures can be seen. So this type of organization of the roots is called as a dichotomous branching and apogeotrophic type of growth. So this type of arrangement in which all the branches appears to be like a close compact structure, so it is appears to be like a coral like organization. And here this coralloid roots are the best example for symbiotic type of root system. Why? Because these roots are associated with the blue-green algae. Those are Anabaena and nostoc. So these are the two examples for blue-green algae, and these are generally present inside the coralloid roots. And Anabaena and nostoc have a dinitrogenase enzyme. They fix the molecular nitrogen and convert them into the available form of nitrogen. That available form of nitrogen is provided to the cycas plant. That is because of association with the Anabaena and nostoc, the cycas plant get benefited by acquiring nitrogen in the available form. But at the same time, the cycas plant will also provide shelter to the Anabaena and nostoc and also food materials. So that is the way how both the organisms which are in the symbiotic association are benefited by this association. So this type of association is called an example for symbiotic type of association in the coralloid roots of cycas plant. In some members like Pinus, the mycorrhizal association is present. That is the filamentous fungi filamentous fungus is associated with the root system of Pinus, in which the filamentous fungi will absorb the minerals and water from the soil and provide it to the Pinus plant, and Pinus plant will provide shelter and also food materials to the fungus member which is associated with this. So this is also one of the example for the symbiotic type of association in the members of Gymnosperms. Then stem. Stem is generally aerial, erect, woody in its nature, and covered by leaf bases in some of the members, and it is stout. In majority of the members, the stem will be short, and this stem, it may be either branched as like in cedrus, and sometimes it may be unbranched as like in cycas. Then there are some members in which a stem grows to a large heights. So that is a Sequiodendron, gigantea. It is a plant which grows more than 100 of meters, and it is considered to be one of the longest plant, and here the width of this one will be 15 meters. The girth will be of 15 meters, and here this is a plant which is the largest one, but exceptionally this type of plants are present in the members of Gymnosperms. Then here in the stem we can see the presence of eustele condition as like that of the dicotyledonous plants, that is the vascular bundles are conjoint, collateral and open type. So as the open type, that is cambium is present between the xylem and the phloem. So here the vascular bundles are arranged in the form of a ring like structure. So there is a possibility of secondary growth because of the presence of cambium inside them. Then here some will have pycnoxylic wood and some will have the monoxylic wood. Monoxylic means in which more parenchyma is present with a loose arrangement, and pycnoxylic means the compact arrangement is present with less parenchyma tissue. Then if you see the vascular bundles, in the vascular tissue, particularly in the xylem, tracheids are the main water conducting tissue. Why? Because here the vessels are absent in the members of Gymnosperms, but one exceptional case is there, that is in Neetum, the vessels are present. And when it comes to the phloem tissue, sieve cells are the main food material conducting tissue. And in them the sieve tube elements and companion cells are absent. At the same time, in some members of Gymnosperms, in place of companion cells, they have albuminous cells, and these albuminous cells are always associated with sieve cells. So likewise the tissue differentiation can be seen in the members of Gymnosperms in the stem part. Not only in the stem, the similar type of tissue can be seen in other parts like in the root and the leaf. Here in some members of Gymnosperms like in Cycas, diploxylic condition is present. Diploxylic means presence of two types of xylems. One is called as centripetal xylem and other is centrifugal xylem. So this is a special feature that can be seen in the examples like in Cycas. Then some will show mesarc condition in the leaves, and Cycas will show pseudo mesarc condition because of the arrangement of the centripetal and centrifugal xylem. It is called as a pseudo mesarc arrangement. And as we said that Gymnosperms are exhibiting many such xerophytic adaptations like presence of thick cuticle wall. Some will have the multiple epidermis and presence of sunken stomata in the leaves, that is the stomata present in the deep grooves, presence of arm parenchyma, presence of transfusion tissue, and some of these are the special features that can be observed in the anatomy of different parts of the gymnosperm plants. Then here gymnosperms contains not only the living plants but some fossil plants are also being present. So here there is one plant which is considered to be the living fossil, that is a Ginkgo biloba. It is a living fossil belonging to gymnosperms. The members will show generally apical growth in some of them, that is with the help of the apical meristems which are present in the stem region, and when the plant enters into the reproductive stage, they start producing the reproductive structures called as a sporophylls, and these sporophylls are generally considered to be the asexual structures, and the arrangement is in such a manner that the sporophylls may be formed either from the apical meristems or sometimes it may not be like. So in this one the compact arrangement of the sporophylls can be seen. So when they are arranged in the form of compact manner, they form structures called as strobili or strobilus or cones. Here two types of sporophylls are there. One is microsporophylls and megasporophylls or macrosporophylls. So microsporophylls are the male structures, whereas the megasporophylls are the female structures. When the microsporophylls are compactly arranged and around a central axis, so this is a central axis, they have a small stalk, and on that they are arranged in the alternate manner. So in that vertical section it appears to be like this. This is a axis of the male cone. This is called as actually male cone, and these are the microsporophylls. So here when the microsporophylls are arranged in a compact manner, they are arranged in the form of a cone like structure. We call it as a male cone, and if you take the vertical section of the male cone, the central axis is there, and on the central axis the microsporophylls are arranged in the acropetal manner. That is the older one are at the older microsporophylls are at the basal side of the axis, and younger one are at the apex, and these microsporophylls bear the microsporangia on them, and inside the microsporangia the microspore mother cells are formed. So up to this structure all of them are diploid in their nature, and these microspore mother cells, when they undergo meiosis, they form microspores, which is considered to be the first cell of the gametophytic generation, and these microspores will be converted into male gametophyte. So here the male gametophyte does not have any plant organization as like that of the sporophyte plant body, but it is represented by few number of cells. Particularly they have the vegetative nucleus and generative nucleus. That generative nucleus will be converted into male gametes. So these are the few number of gamete cells which are being present inside the male gametophyte, and this is formed inside the microsporangium. Then coming to the megasporophylls, here also the megasporophylls are arranged in a compact manner in some of the members to form into female cone, but in cycas female cone formation is absent. Why? Because the megasporophylls are loosely arranged. When they are loosely arranged, it does not form a compact structure, so female cone is not formed. And here each megasporophyll contains megasporangia. So these megasporangia are having integuments around them. So integumented megasporangia are present, which are called as ovules. But here, as like in the angiosperms, the stigma, style and ovary like type of parts are not being seen here. Just only the ovules are present, and these ovules are naked and exposed to the outer atmosphere or the environment. This type of nature will be there, and inside the ovule, the nucellus tissue will be there. This from that nucellar tissue, the formation of archegonia can be there. But actually here, the nucellar tissue will form the megaspore mother cell, which is diploid in this nature. It will undergo meiosis to form haploid megaspores. And these megaspores will form into the female gametophyte. So here we can see the male gametophyte formation and the female gametophyte formation. So the gametophytes are dioecious in their nature. Why does this gametophytes are dioecious? Means because of heterospory, that is microspores are present and the megaspores are present. That means the gymnosperms are exhibiting heterospory condition. All gymnosperms are heterosporous. Then they produce, as we said, that microspores, and other is called as a megaspores or the macrospores. So this type of nature was started in the members of Pteridophyta, which had been continued in the gymnosperms and in the angiosperms, next group of plants. So likewise, the female gametophyte will produces the archegonia. Then here archegonia formation is present in gymnosperms, and gymnosperms are considered as the last group of plants with archegonia. And inside the archegonia, we can see the presence of egg cell. So archegonia is present in pteridophytes also and bryophytes, where the archegonia contains neck and venter, which are surrounded by the jacket. But here the archegonia does not have the jacket. But the archegonia is embedded inside the tissue of ovule, which is protected by the nucellar tissue. When fertilization occurs, or before fertilization, we know that pollination will take place here. That is a transfer of pollen grains from the male structures to the female structures. Here the pollen grains are the microspores, which are produced inside the microsporangium, are released, and they are carried with the help of the wind, or we can say it as a anemophilous or anemophily condition is present. And when they are carried by the wind, they reach the megasporophylls, particularly the ovules of the megasporophylls, directly to the opening of the ovules. So that's why we call it as a direct pollination. In angiosperms, we know that the pollen grains will reach the stigma, and when they reach the stigma, they germinate and produce a pollen tube that will pierce through the style ovary and reaches the ovule. But here the type of conditions are not present because stigma and style are not there. That's the reason why the pollen grains will directly reach the pore or micropyle region of the ovule, in which direct pollination we call it as. And here when they reach, they will enter into the pollen chamber, or this is the ovule. And here the archegonia are present, and the number of archegonia may be 1 to many. Each archegonia contains generally one egg cell, and here this is a pollen chamber in which the pollen grains will be released, and these pollen grains will gradually form a tube-like structure which will pierces through this tissue and enters into the archegone, this small chamber which is present here, and at this region they will release the male gametes. Those male gametes will be absorbed into the archegonia, and here the fusion of male and female gamete will takes place inside the archegonia. And it will resulting into a structure called as a zygote, which is a diploid structure and considered to be the first cell of the sporophytic generation, and this zygote will gradually be converted into embryo by mitotic division and developing into the sporophytic generation. So likewise the life cycle will be going on, leading to the formation of sporophyte. Here in this process we have started with the sporophyte generation. In the meantime we got the gametophytes, once again the sporophyte. That means the sporophyte generation and the gametophyte generation are coming in an alternate manner, so we call it as alternation of generations. And the life cycle had been started with the sporophyte, which is diploid in its condition, and later the haploid gametophyte generation also been coming, so we call it as a diplohaplontic life cycle. So in the members of gymnosperms, the embryo formation and endosperm formation are present. Here embryo is diploid in nature, which is formed from the zygote, which is also diploid, and zygote is formed by the fusion of male and the female gamete, which are haploid in the condition. But here the endosperm is formed directly from the tissue of female gametophyte. It is directly formed from the female gametophyte tissue, and there is no role of a male gametophyte in the formation of endosperm. And as we know that a female gametophyte is a haploid in its nature, and there is no fusion here, and it is formed before fertilization. That's why we call it as a pre-fertilization product. Whereas in the angiosperms, the endosperm is a post-fertilization product, and it is triploid in its nature. Then here the similarity is endosperm is nutritious, or it is providing nutrition to the developing embryos. So these are the some variations that can be seen in the gymnosperm group of plants. The gymnosperms are flowering plants. Despite of that flowering nature, they are showing some similarities with that of the non-flowering plants like pteridophytes. So let us see some similarities, resemblances of gymnosperms to the ferns or the pteridophyta group of plants. The first one is motile male gametes, like in cycas. That is in cycas plant, zoidogamy is present, at the same time siphonogamy is present. Zoidogamy means if the male gametes are motile, we call it as zoidogamy, and siphonogamy means if the male gametes are carried by pollen tube, we call it as siphonogamous condition. Majority of the gymnosperms are siphonogamous, but exceptional case is the cycas, which is both zoidogamous and also siphonogamous in its nature. Second one is some of the members will show cercinate vernation. That is young leaves will show watch spring like coiling structure, and some will have the ramenta on the leaves, and the other characters are presence of archegonia. So these are some of the characteristic features which are exhibited by the members of gymnosperms like cycas. which is resembling to the fern plants. If you see the further classification of the gymnosperms, these are classified into Cycadopsida, which includes Cycas, Neetopsida, which includes Neetum, and Coniferopsida, which includes Pinus plant. So this is the further classification of the gymnosperm group of plants.